out and about, if you're out and about over the weekend, please use caution. If flooding begins and you see water, do not attempt to drive through the water. If barricades are up, please do not go around the barricades. Turn around, find another way to get to where you need to go. We will also have water rescue crews on standby, but we certainly hope that we don't need to use those. Those will be proactive and we'll save those for only the most necessary situations. We're not putting up any flood walls at this time. There's some potential for Ohio River flooding into next week, but at this point, we do not believe we need to put up the flood walls. But we are monitoring the river levels, and again, any river flooding is more likely to be next week than over this weekend. So please heed the warning. Please be careful once the rain starts tomorrow as you're going about with your weekend plans. If you know areas that are prone to flash flooding, please try to avoid those areas. I know in our neighborhood, we know certain areas that are prone to that, and so we'll try to avoid those. In your neighborhood, please try to do the same thing. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated throughout the weekend. If we need to do another news conference, we will. Otherwise, we'll keep you up to date via my social media channels and all of our other cities' channels online. Stay dry. Be safe. And I'd also like to introduce Jody Myman, who's the Director of Emergency Management Services, who along with his entire team are getting ready for this weekend's heavy rainfall. Jody?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to echo some of the things the Mayor said, we've been in planning for the last couple of days about this, but it seems that overnight, again, in constant contact with the National Weather Service, it looks like that the heaviest rain has started to come up towards our area. So we've been doing a little bit more planning, especially this morning. So with Public Works and the Metropolitan Sewer District, obviously, two great partners with us that help us during this. We're going to pre-stage barricades. The Mayor mentioned flood-prone areas through town that we know capture water, especially with rains like this. We're going to pre-stage barricades so that our public safety agencies can put out and hopefully attempt to keep people from driving through this flooded water. We've been in constant contact with our water rescue agencies throughout the county, Suburban Fire, Louisville Metro Police, among others, to see where they're going to pre-stage or have water resources staged. Our operations center will open tomorrow at some point, depending on what the National Weather Service says and the main time that the heaviest rain is going to come in. We will staff this and we will dispatch accordingly out of this area. We've been in contact with the state. Just got off a call with State Emergency Management to see other plans that other agencies are doing throughout the state. And this is twofold. I mean, through the last couple of days, as Louisville wasn't predicted to be in the heaviest rain, we were putting resources together to potentially help the rest of the state. And now it could look like, depending on what happens, we could need help from outside in the state. So we're coordinating those resources as well. Safety tips, I can't emphasize enough: turn around, don't drown. Every time we have flooded roadways, we always have people that try it and just think, hey, I can get through that, or they don't know. So make sure, especially with the heaviest rain that comes through tomorrow night, make sure you're paying attention, make sure you're driving slow, make sure you're keeping adequate distance between yourself and other vehicles so that you don't end up becoming some type of statistic or some type of rescue that our people have to go out and take care of. Know your surroundings. If you're live in a flood-prone area, know and watch, from your houses, to see, if you need to self-evacuate, if water starts to come up around your house. There is places throughout Louisville. Since 1997, this agency, along with other agencies, has done a lot of mitigation through this area. And there's a lot of places that used to flood that still flood, but there's not houses in those areas. So, we've mitigated that over the years, but there still is areas. So know where you live at, know how water comes in, know what's going to happen. Make sure that your sump pumps are working. Especially if you lose electricity, because we could have flooded basements that affect people. So, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, watch the weather and what's going in. And today's the day to plan. I know it's Valentine's Day. The sun's out. Enjoy that, but make sure you're planning today. For what could be coming in tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Jody. So we will be ready tomorrow, depending as the weather comes in. But we wanted just the city to start getting prepared and know what to expect and know that we'll be there to keep everybody safe. We'll continue our preparations through the evening this evening. With that, we're happy to take any questions from members of the media.
Do you all have specific areas in town that you know to keep an eye on? What are some areas that you can say, looks like River Road and that kind of stuff probably, but areas that you can watch that you know are probably going to flood?
Yeah, Jody could give some specific areas. There are certainly areas, lower lying areas that are near creeks, that are around the river, as you said. And based on some past experience, we've had significant rainfall around Goldsmith Lane, for example. Jody can give a couple of those.
Yeah, so just, I mean, there's a lot to mention. I mean, but, there is, the mayor mentioned around the Goldsmith Lane area, there's some out in the, out in the more rural parts of the county. So, yeah, southwest. So just, if you live there, talk to your neighbors. If you've just moved into those areas, talk to your neighbors to see if, this is an area that we need to keep an eye on. If there's, basins that run through your area, especially if the water crosses over the road. So just, pay attention to those areas throughout your neighborhoods.
And at what point do you expect the water levels to start going back down? I know once the rain stops, it's still going to swell more over a little bit. So when can people breathe?
Yeah. Well, there are sort of two different answers to that. The question was about when can you expect the water levels to go down? There are two answers to that. One is with respect to any flash flooding that may occur, that we expect to go down more rapidly. If there's flooding from the Ohio River, we expect that flooding to not even occur until next week. And so we'll have more information once the rain comes, when there's rain in other parts of the area that feed into the Ohio. That will dictate what will happen to the Ohio River levels in our community. Again, that's not until next week. Flash flooding, it all depends on how much comes. We expect that to recede sooner.
Jody, can you tell us some of the spots that the barricades are going to be pre-staged at today?
Yeah, so we've got mainly all of our viaduct locations throughout the city, because those are flood prone. We're going to be watching those. MSD and Public Works are going to be out cleaning out drains today, making sure that nothing gets stopped up. So, like I said, we're going to pre-stage those so that we don't have to call them out during the rain when we find out. So we're going to be ahead of the game, and some of our public safety agencies, if they respond to something like that, they can just put them out.
Well, can you speak to any rescue teams that are on standby? Who are they? What are they going to do?
Yeah, so several throughout the county. Louisville Fire has water resources on duty every day. The county has suburban fire departments have resources on every day. Louisville Metro Police, their river unit, they've been trained in flash flooding and swift water rescue, so they're going to play a part in this. So they're spread out throughout the county.
And I know this is probably a question for the weather people, but what role does all the recent snow and rainfall we've had, how is that impacting what's going to happen this week?
It's wet. It's soggy, it's wet, so there's not a lot of places for the water to go. So it's going to pool up a lot quicker than it normally would if it's dry out.
And the river's already high.
Yes.
And if you're just going to take a look downtown at the Ohio River, you'll see how high the river already is.
What do you predict? What are you hearing about predictions on the river? How far above flood stage it's going to be?
It's too early, I think, to provide that.
I won't do it for a couple of days.
Jody, you all mentioned that today is the day you need to start to plan. I'm afraid some people are not going to take this as serious as maybe they should because it's pretty today, it's sunny today. Can you speak to how quickly this is going to change and look different?
Yeah, so the rain's going to come in the morning. It's going to be lighter, from what we've heard so far, and it may change with our 3:15 call that we're doing with the National Weather Service, but it's just going to be a steady rain, and then the heavier rain and potential for thunderstorms are going to come in tomorrow evening. So, I know there's a lot of events going on throughout the city. So just, pay attention, and like I said, give yourself ample amount of time, spread out between, cars, and always pay attention and watch, because if you think about historically rains and events like this that we've had places throughout the city that have never flooded that flood during certain events. So, it all depends on where that heavy rain actually hits, where it stays at, where things are going to flood. If you go back to, August 4th, 2009, we had a major event that day, and there was parts of the city that hadn't flooded like it did, in recent past. So, just pay attention where you are, because nobody's immune and nobody can really get out of this. It's going to affect everybody tomorrow.
Jody, does it concern you, the mayor, that this could potentially be heaviest at night and the flooding occurring at night?
Right. And anytime we have any kind of weather, severe weather at night, we always tell people, make sure your weather radios, make sure your phones are charged, make sure you're tied into some type of notification system. Our Lens Alert system, Global Emergency Notification System, sign up for that. if you haven't, because you're going to get real-time alerts from that. But, when people go to bed, they relax, they tend to, obviously they're asleep, they forget about things, and they're not tied in. So we always worry about that more than during the day.
I'm talking specifically about the roads.
Yes, yeah. So the good thing about it is, obviously we've got public safety on the streets 24/7. So real time in the 911 center, we're going to be able to find out what's going on, where it's going on, and if we need to do anything to take care of the public because of that.
With like snowfall, weather like that, you may advise people to stay home due to the roads. With this amount of rainfall, would you recommend people maybe not make trips that aren't essential, or just give yourself some more time? What should people know that in the Jefferson County in general, that
We think it depends on how much rain we actually end up getting. If we're getting 6 inches of rain in a very small period of time, I don't think many people are going to be wanting to go out in that. So if you are traveling, the most important thing if you're driving is to use caution. Drive slow. If you see water, as Jody and I have said, just turn around. If you do see standing water, those are the most important things are to use caution. But we are not asking people to stay home at this point in time. If things change, we'll certainly make people aware of that. But at this point in time, we're just asking people to use caution. Okay.
One other thing too, we put the barricades out for a reason. Don't move them. Don't try to drive around them, because we see that as well. So, please don't do that. There's like I said, there's a reason that they're there. And we'll have people out checking those viaducts or checking the flood prone areas if there is flooded roadways, to make sure that we can remove them and, when it's safe to do so. So let the experts do that. Let us take care of that. But please don't try to drive around them or move them so you can get through.
All right, we will continue to keep you all up to date over the weekend, and thank you all very much.
Greenberg, would you mind taking one unrelated to flooding?
Sure.
Okay. From my coworker, a bill was filed yesterday to turn Louisville street racing ordinance into state law, while adding that vehicles forfeited to the state on second offense could be destroyed. Just want to weigh in on that.
I strongly support that bill. Illegal street racing has no place on the streets of Louisville. And I'm proud that last year we were able to confiscate more street racing cars than in any year in Louisville's prior history. But we're always looking for more tools to continue to crack down on this and end this behavior when it happens in Louisville. So I strongly support this bill. It was included in my legislative agenda. I proposed this idea probably about a year ago. And if we need more tools to help end this, I'm in favor of it. And I'm pleased that this has bipartisan sponsorship from two folks here in Louisville, and I support the legislation.
I'll talk about a few questions of the same name. Question number one was House Bill 465 was filed by two Louisville lawmakers earlier this week, would essentially take over the street ordinance and make it say, well, what's your response to that right now? I think you just kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this is a sign that Louisville is doing something right, though, when it comes to punishing those who take part in illegal street racing?
So the question was about punishing those who take part in illegal street racing. If you're illegally racing your cars on the street, there needs to be consequences. I'm very proud that LMPD earlier this week arrested two individuals who were going 120 miles an hour on our highways. There is no place for that in our city. There is no place for some of the chaos that street racers can cause. And so if the result is that your car gets crushed, that your car gets donated to a charity that can use it for a good reason, I'm in favor of that. We're going to continue to crack down on street racing just as we have. We seized more cars last year than in any year in prior history of Louisville, and we're going to continue to add tools to the toolbox, and that's one of the reasons why I strongly support this legislation.
And despite these measures, street racing is still occurring. Is there any other steps or anything that you think that you would like to be added on to help stop this illegal activity?
Well, LMPD has significantly stepped up enforcement of street racing. We've brought the numbers down. We confiscated more cars last year that were participating in illegal street racing than in any year in Louisville's prior history, and we'll continue to do that. This bill, if it passes, will give us yet another tool, but even without it, we're already cracking down, and I'm pleased with the positive momentum that we have.
And last one, if you were talking directly to people who are perpetrators of this sort of thing, what's your message to the street racers out there?
Don't do it. Drive safely. Drive legally. That's what speed limits are for. There's no place for street racing in the city of Louisville. We will catch you, and we will impound your cars, And if this legislation passes, they will be crushed or they will be sold and given to a nonprofit organization that will put them to good use, not for distracting uses and destructive uses like illegal streetcar racing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.